what dude goes to 132nd in Harlem and got on 7th Avenue, the location, and he got his own property there ready as a kid. So when
Mm,
Alpo and Rich Porter was hustling to get their money up, my dad
mm.
already had a store on the fucking block already. So when
Damn.
they came to
Right.
see who he was, like, yo, who the fuck is this light-skinned Puerto Rican nigga just in Harlem? Niggas is checking your temperature this time. They
Right.
went to check his temperature. He's telling them he owned the store. So that changed the whole temperature. Cause now they looking at him like he a god. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? You gotta remember they trying to get their money up to get a store. You seen A Boogie and Paid in Full. How can my
Mm-hmm.
pop story not be the biggest? If you watch Paid in Full, how Puerto Rican Jesus story ain't bigger than Paid in Full?
Did Mike Tyson really offer your father $1 million to get out the game?
that's a that's a funny question because in that era, no disrespect to nobody, but Mike Tyson was the champ, but my pops was the champ too. So it was like, yeah, he might have offered them that, but $1 million was crumbs to my dad. So he took, that lightly and just laughed. It was like a joke.
Mm. Yeah, so that million was nothing, huh?
Yeah, you got to remember, my dad was selling crack in the era when it first came out. So he had blocks that was doing numbers that were, and Mike Tyson wasn't getting no money yet. My dad already had money, so he didn't care about being around Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson cared about being around him.
Mm. And that's how it is. Like back in the day, like all the rappers and all the celebrities, they wanted to live like the hustlers.
Yeah, like, you can't take nothing from people that's trying to do things the right way. And Mike Tyson was just trying to give my father an avenue as a good friend. But my dad was other places where he already had legit businesses and stuff at a young age. So he looked at Mike like, I'm all right already. You feel me? And I love you for offering me that. But Mike did give my pops cars and did things for him if he wanted to do it out the kindness of his heart. But,
Right,
my dad could do the same for him, and he could tell you that.
right. That's what's up.
And I had took the pictures out of her house and brought it to Mike because he's in the photos as well with my dad. And I also took some personal photos with me of my dad so he could sign. And he
Mm-hmm.
also signed my wife hoodie, which is a pink hoodie, brand new, with his face and my dad's face on it, with the newspaper article from 1990 in the Daily News that when they was in front of Lindenwood Diner in my hood with the
Mm-hmm.
Lambo truck. Cause I think Lambo trucks just came out. They been
Mm-hmm.
came out. My dad and Mike had that shit already.
Yeah. Speaking of Lambo trucks, let's get into it. Now, one thing about Mike Tyson and Puerto Rican Jesus had in common is that they both loved money and loved spending it. Now, we all know what Mike Tyson did and how much he was getting per fight in his heyday. On the come up, Jesus would look out for Tyson while he was training to become great, to keep him focused on his craft. You had hustlers back in the day. If they saw if you was actually trying to do something with your life, to get out the hood, they would look out. Now, Jesus was getting to $1, and you'll never know how much a hustler was holding overall. But Mike did offer this man $1 million to leave the streets alone to come work for him, and this man turned it down. And we're talking about the 80s and 90s. Now, I don't know how many people that's going to turn down a whole M, but if you're running around turning down millions, let me hold something. Nah, but I did hear about the crack money from back in the day, and I heard dudes was blowing up overnight. Now, a lot of people thought that fast money would last forever, and Jesus was probably one of them. Tyson hung around lots of gangsters, we all know that, and he grew up with most of them. Of course, a lot of guys was in his pocket, but Jesus came with his own money. Now, what's dope about this photo is that you have legendary Mike Tyson and street legend Puerto Rican Jesus in front of a very rare vehicle, and that's the Lamborghini LM002. Now, there was only 300 ever made. In the hood, you had all the hustlers stunting in their BMWs, the Acras, the Saabs. Now, pulling up in one of these will be a different type of animal. One of the few others to own one was Pablo Escobar. The vehicle was released in 1986 and originally designed for military use. So this off-road vehicle came bulletproof. Now that's a huge plus. The V12 vehicle went for over 100 grand, and Tyson treated it like it was nothing, always getting speeding tickets and end up crashing it and leave it on the side of the road. Yo, just imagine parking one of those joints in the hood, yo. Bro, those big
Yeah,
ass
that was
tires,
different.
like them joints stick out like a sore thumb. So if you really like trying to lay low, I don't think that's the best vehicle you should have. Like, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, my dad did whatever he did. He did it well because he ain't do that many. You know what I mean? He ain't been. He was blessed. He been in jail, but he passed away in the streets. So he was active all the way till he left. So he ain't had that much affairs with the law. So he must have been good at whatever he was doing. But between me and you, he had a police under the payroll,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's how they got the vehicle over here.
there was only a couple only made, so you really had to be somebody to have one of those, man, for real. Like,
Yeah, well, my dad was police at that time.
hmm
My uncle's still alive to tell the story, and he basically was having affair with a lady that was in the military, whatever, whatever, and
hmm
she finagled it. They had the bread, they made it happen to get it flew over, and
hmm
that's how they had it running through Brooklyn.
right?
You
Because
feel
I
me?
did hear a story about how he went up to Arsenio Hall and he just stole the spotlight. He was with Mike Tyson, and he still like they was backstage, and he stole the spotlight from Tyson. Like, Arsenio saw him all blinged up. He had that shit on. So, everyone was just impressed on, just his image.
Yeah, we have food and drinks at the table all the time and talk about that day. We got footage in the crib and shit of that. I might throw it on the dock, but on my channel, my uncle talk a little bit about it. He got 30 years bugs and shit. He know him from Harlem. That's baby main cousin. And he always talked to me about it. Everybody talks to me about it, about that day. But what happened was Mike was there just to go see Arsenio Hall. He ain't even supposed to really be, you know, there. He was in backstage. And
Yeah.
my dad was with him, with two other people. And what happened was Arsenio Hall came and he wanted to announce that, Mike was there. Mike was the champ at the time. So when he went to say, yo, we got the heavyweight champ in the building, Mike Tyson, my dad said that, they switched the camera fast on the champ. You know how they do on the Arsenio Hall show. So they switch it, boom. When they switch the camera, that my dad is right next to Mike. So that's how they catch him in the joint, boom. You feel me? So my dad say, Arsenio Hall comes up to him and he like, yo, Mike, I know you the champ and all that, but who your man is right here? Because he look like the champ. You
Right.
heard? So
hmm
Mike like, this is my friend or whatever. And my dad said, yo, my name is Puerto Rican Jesus or whatever. You know what I mean? He said just Jesus. Because my dad didn't like to get called Puerto Rican Jesus. He used to get tight and want to fight. I ain't gonna lie. So
Oh, so he didn't like that nickname. He didn't like the name.
hell no. If you catch him, that's why I said a lot of stuff we hear or say is fake, bro. My dad don't like to be called Puerto Rican Jesus, bro. His friends will tell you. He called Jesus because he really think he black. You feel? Because
Yeah.
growing up in the neighborhood, he was just around a whole bunch of black kids. You feel me? So he was
Yeah.
like the only Puerto Rican one. So they joke on him all the time. And he be getting into it and stuff. That's what his friends and stuff, they gonna talk about on the dock or whatever. But yeah, but he stole the spotlight that day. My dad had all the fucking jewelry on, all the chains. When they went back in that day, they call them the ropes, the big ropes. My
Yeah.
dad was the first one with the Jesus head out here before Slick Rick. Slick Rick is alive to tell you. Him and my dad had numerous occasions, had
hmm
back and forth little conflicts at a time.
Yeah.
So like I said, that era, my dad was the champ of that era. And Jerry, all that stuff. And Arsenio Hall is still alive to say that whatever we talking about.
Right.
So, yeah, my dad shut the show down. He definitely, everybody talks about that day.
Yeah. That's what's up, man.